If your water heater is not producing any hot water at all, or not as much as it normally does, probably the upper element is burned out. First thing you want to do is turn the breaker off to the water heater. It's probably a 30 amp double pole breaker. And then come over, turn the water off, which if it's a ball valve, it'll be 90 degrees to the water line. If it's a gate valve, it'll be a round handle. You'll turn clockwise until it stops. You want to check, even though you've turned the breaker off, you want to check to make sure that you have no power here. On the thermostat, the top two screws always have 220 volts to it. This has nothing because I know we've already turned the breaker off. It's a possibility that your reset button has tripped for some reason. That's this red button right here. You can push on it, and if it doesn't move, then it hasn't tripped. What we want to do is check for continuity. An element is a loop inside of your tank that heats up the water. So take these wires off so you don't get a false reading. Just pull them out. And you can take a multi-tester if you have one. A lot of people have those. And turn your multi-tester to ohms. Some of them say RX1, RX10. Touch the probes together and you see the needle moves when you've got a good connection. So you can touch these two screws and you see you've got a little movement, but it doesn't move like it's supposed to, so we've probably got an element that's got either a hole in it or section missing, or something is causing it not to have a good connection like it's supposed to. I have two kinds of continuity testers. That's one kind. I have another kind I like because I don't see so well anymore. It's got some sound to it. If I turn it up to ohms, which is a horseshoe, upside down horseshoe, then I can select sound when the probes touch each other. I can put those on there and I get nothing. So I know I've got a bad element. I've got the water turned off. I've got the power turned off. The next thing we need to do is drain this water down past this element so that we can take it out and not get wet. I'm going to hook a garden hose to your drain valve at the bottom. And turn it on and start draining it. Now that will drain a little bit, but it won't drain all the way until you allow some air to follow this water going out. You can do several things. You can open up your relief valve and allow air to go in, or you can go inside and turn on some hot faucets, and that'll allow air to follow in and come down. Or if you have a compressor, you can take this out and put a bushing in here and bring it down to a tire valve size and put some air to it. You might want to do that if it's an older heater and it's got some lime buildup, maybe covering the drain, because it'll drain really slowly if you don't. Anyway, you've got to get water out until you think it's down to here. Once you start pulling this element out, if it's not down there, you'll know it pretty quick. But we take an element wrench, which is like a large socket. It's an 1.5 inch socket. If you don't want to run to the hardware store and get one, but you're probably going to have an element anyway. You can undo these. It's a little bit harder than that usually. Go ahead and turn this off because I know that it's drained down past the upper element now. Sure enough, take our element out and it has for some reason burned an entire section. Sometimes you'll just have little holes in the element where water has gotten to the spring. Well, this happens for several reasons. If a water heater gets turned on, the power gets turned on with no water in it, it'll do this immediately. Lime or scale buildup, covering it completely can cause it to overheat. It may, nothing's perfect, so it may have had a spot in it to begin with from the factory. Anyway, we know that's no good, so we take a new one, which is going to be silver, usually going to be silver. Put it back in there. You don't need to over tighten it, just snug it up. Too many testers up on top. Take our tester again, put it on the new one, and we're good. Same thing with the other type tester. If you have a multi-tester, you see the needle is moving over to the other side. So we know that element is good. We hook our wires back up here, turn our water back on, open up some faucets, and let the air blow out until you get a good steady stream of water out of the hot side of your faucet before you turn the power back on, or you're going to dry burn the element and you're going to have to do it all over again. So that's how you change an element. Now there's an upper element and a lower element. It's possible that this one is not good either. But if you have some hot water, but not as much as you used to, most of the time it's just your upper element. They're not that much money. At this time, they're about $15 a piece. If you want, go ahead and change both of them out while you're in the process. And that's how you take care of a water heater that's not producing the hot water it's supposed to.